questionable trustworthiness is Danielle Miller. Along with being an influencer, she's probably one of the most notorious con artists in internet history, with an elaborate illegal money-making scheme involving identity theft coming to light in recent years.
Tonight, the flashy and lavish lifestyle of a social media influencer helping to put her behind bars. Danielle Miller pleading guilty to a $1.5 million fraud scheme.
Danielle's existence online is a bit of a chaotic mess that needs some exposition. She grew up very wealthy in New York City, near Central Park in fact. Her parents were stupid rich. She was put in prestigious schools growing up and was eating from a silver spoon pretty much since the moment she left the womb. All of this privilege, though, would be something she came to detest. As she entered her teenage years, she grew rebellious, which brings us to the start of her career as an influencer. Danielle's plunge into social media fame is truly bizarre and disgusting if I'm being honest. When she was 13 years old, all the way back in 2004, Danielle sent a video to her school crush over AOL Instant Messenger. That video apparently showcasing the girl performing obscene acts with a Swiffer mop.
I sent them to one person. At that age, at my school, there it's not large. So everybody knows everybody, like everybody's friends with everybody because we literally have grown up with one another. Like, it wasn't me sending this video out to everyone. I sent it to this one boy. He sent it to my then best friend.
A girl.
Trying to like persuade her into
Sending one too.
making a video like that, being like, oh, Danielle's cool, like she did this, like. But instead of her doing that, she decided to like send it to the whole 8th grade, who sent it to the whole 9th grade, who sent it to 10th, 11th, 12th, and then all of their camp friends, and then all of Dalton and Collegiate and Browning, every single private school, every single school in the city got their hands on this through like word of mouth and email and AIM.
Unfortunately for Danielle, this video ended up getting leaked by the boys she sent it to, and it spread around the internet. You had disgusting creeps, freaks, and pedophiles downloading it from sites like LimeWire and Kazaa and gawking over what was essentially CSAM. Guys, I'm sorry, the 2004 excuse doesn't cut it here. What the fuck were y'all thinking downloading this?
Right to jail, right away.
The notoriety garnered from this incident would earn Danielle a mocking nickname, that being Swiffer Girl. The gross situation essentially being the sole reason why she became known on social media initially. Quite twisted if I do say so myself. While initially shocking and distressing, Danielle, growing rebellious of her rather stuffy upbringing and wanting to act out, said fuck it, and eventually started to lean into the bad reputation she had established with the inadvertent spread of the Swiffer Girl video, basically becoming a niche, raunchy e-celebrity known for starting trouble and later in college becoming a party animal. After college, Danielle moved to Los Angeles and joined a small clique of Hollywood socialites. It's here that her nature as a capable con artist would become apparent. Infiltrating these wealthy socialite groups, she would earn their trust, then fleece them out of large sums of cash, usually by doing something as simple as stealing a checkbook and issuing fake checks with a forged signature. Infinite money glitch, am I right? I mean, as a matter of fact, why am I even making these videos? Why are you guys going to work? Who's got a rich friend and a checkbook? Let's ball out. This would be her gambit going forward, networking her way into exclusive upper crust social circles and then swindle the wealthy in these groups for whatever she could. In a way, I could kind of see this as her spiting the groups of people that she came up around, you know, like she thinks the rich are stupid and she wants to get back at them because she thinks they're all fucking stuck-up idiots or something. Danielle eventually made her way back home to New York in 2016. A seasoned con artist at this point, she'd work her magic on the many stuck-up trust fund art kids and airheaded socialites that pepper the city, befriending them, stealing their credit cards, checks, etc., and then would use the money to book appointments at luxury beauty salons. And of course, she would purchase high-dollar products and clothing with this money. Much of this stuff she would wear on her growing Instagram page. Sometimes Danielle would even get caught stealing from these people, and she would be arrested a few times related to these schemes, usually just spending a night in jail before getting bailed out by her parents. Due to the missing of some court hearings and a collection of other antics, she eventually had to spend a year in prison at Rikers Island. Most of her time spent there, she just learned more from scammers and con artists that were locked up with her. And after she got out of prison in 2019, that's when the real fun started. About a year after her release, COVID hits, and the government starts issuing these small business loans and unemployment benefits to just about anyone who applies. Swiffer Girl saw an opportunity. It's time to steal some identities and defraud the government. Using the internet, Danielle managed to hack into the Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicles and use the information found on there to steal people's identities. She would then use these identities to apply for PPP loans and unemployment, and was almost always granted these benefits and loans. In total, Danielle collected over $1.2 million in pandemic relief loans that she would then use to sustain her lavish lifestyle, riding on private jets, booking expensive hotel rooms and luxury apartments. And most of the time, she's booking and buying all this stuff using other people's identities too, so it's like in their names. And all of this lavish luxury stuff is showcased on her social media career, making it appear as if she was some kind of successful fashionista or entertainment mogul. Little did people know she was a complete fraud. In May of 2021, with many scammers and fraudsters running rampant during COVID, the U.S. Attorney General's office would establish the COVID-19 Fraud Task Force as a way to combat fraud epidemic that was running roughshod. Everybody and their fucking mom was getting a PPP loan at this time. It was crazy. And it wouldn't be before long until Danielle, one of the biggest abusers, was discovered.
Google Pixel 9a with Gemini. Looking for something buried in your inbox?
Gemini, check Gmail for that flower shop Jill.
The same month that the task force was established, our career con artist would be caught red-handed in Miami as she was attempting to withdraw $8,000 from a Chase bank while using someone else's identity. The woman is quoted as saying, "Fuck." While searching her belongings, authorities found 3 Illinois driver's licenses with different names featuring Miller's own photo, along with credit cards to boot and $25,000 in cash. During her interrogation, she tried to act like she was somebody else, trying to imply that she must have been a victim of identity fraud. Danielle, we know it's you. The ID's fake and you have 14 different cards in your purse.
My name is Chris. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Though they later confirmed without a shadow of a doubt who she was, taking her fingerprints and confirming that she was Danielle Miller. Danielle was taken to jail not long after. The feds would later raid her Miami-based apartment. There, authorities found a Rolex watch, a Dior blouse and shoes, a Louis Vuitton bag, and an expensive piece of Rimowa luggage. They also seized more than $4,000 in cash and nearly $28,000 in money orders, along with several fake IDs with bank cards to match. Authorities allege the woman had also recently gotten an expensive BBL surgery. After learning about her theft, surgeons sucked the fat back out of her butt cheeks, reversing the procedure. She faced charges in multiple states, including Florida and Massachusetts, the latter being where a majority of her victims resided. On March 6, 2023, in Boston, Massachusetts, Danielle pled guilty to 3 counts of wire fraud and 2 counts of aggravated theft. And on September 7, 2023, she was sentenced to serve 5 years in prison, along with 3 years of supervised release. The government garnished wages of over $600,000 from Miller and ordered her to relinquish her designer items, which included the Rolex watch, the bags, Dior blouse, etc. Along with her supervised release, she will also be forced to pay restitutions to the victims that she defrauded. From being Swiffer Girl to a COVID-era con artist, Danielle has had a truly wild arc. Hopefully she's satisfied that rebellious hunger formed during her teen years and can come out of prison and just be a legit influencer. Yeah, if you ever see her around, make sure you keep an eye on your wallet or your purse because she may relapse. Influencer-ran fundraisers have garnered something of a dubious reputation in recent years, with many high-profile examples of mismanagement being exposed. My advice to you, don't donate to an influencer. Just donate your money directly to the charity if you want to contribute, for Christ's sake. Most of these influencers are complete fucking idiots. These guys can barely even pay their taxes. Next, we'll be discussing a rather bizarre influencer charity fraud case involving a TikToker who collected money under the ruse of helping domestic violence victims, only to allegedly use this cash hoard as a personal slush fund.
I did this. I did this.
Yes, people donated money to this person.
I am officially a 501c3 nonprofit organization.
Meet 57-year-old Amy Downs of Athens, Alabama. On TikTok, she's known as Slot 7.0 and Slot Machine Queen. The woman, who looks like she smoked a few Camel Crushes in her day, is a retired hairdresser and apparent former slot machine gambler turned social media influencer. Slot garnered over 100,000 followers in the early 2020s off platforming victims of domestic violence and posting unironic boomer cringe videos like this.
If you're out there betting against me, I'd see about getting a refund.
Much of her social media success was inherently related to the insane amount of money she was able to raise in the name of stopping DV. Her wildly successful fundraising campaign efforts began in 2021, with Slot accepting donations to a supposed charity organization in her name that was supposed to help DV victims and the homeless. People from around the world rallied behind Amy, donating what they could, and soon she had accumulated a substantial hoard of cash. Reportedly over $1 million in total, which was donated directly to her through apps like PayPal and Venmo. In the process of all of this fundraising, Slot became a star, her community basically becoming a collection of domestic violence victims who interacted and made videos amongst each other, with her as the central figure that they all orbited. This is just an example of one of the group calls she had with her community to give you an idea of what this region of TikTok is like.
I'm here if you need me, okay?
Okay.
He's in a battle. Hi.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
Hi, Brandon wanted to talk to you. I appreciate you coming in here.
Really? Really, you want to talk to me?
Yes, ma'am.
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
You really want to talk to me, Brandon?
I've been wanting to talk to you for a long time, girl.
You know, I consider myself pretty well versed when it comes to online communities, but if I'm being honest here, this like Gen X boomer area of the internet,
Yes, ma'am.
I did not know this was a thing. There seems to be a whole universe out here that's unexplored. Anyways, Amy became a revered figure in the online DV awareness community. And in 2024, she actually received a nomination for a Cheer Choice Award, which honored influencers who use their platform for good causes.
I do.
Ditch the rough scrubs that just take. Get with one that's giving.
It's giving radiance, not
DV help for immediate danger, DV victims and homeless.
Although Amy had received a lot of praise for her accomplishments, given the sheer amount that she had raised, it was only a matter of time before folks began asking for receipts, and these receipts were few and far between. Critical snark pages on Reddit started popping up, namely r/slotmachinequeen. Here, detractors would post about their suspicions, claiming that Amy was faking her domestic violence charity and pocketing the vast sums of donation money that she received.
If anybody comes and says they got shit on me, you better bring a receipt. You better bring a receipt.
They'd post a number of suspicious and cringeworthy clips of Amy, some of which showed her crashing out. In addition, they would start a petition which aimed to stop the woman, alleging that she was actively scamming domestic violence victims. And Amy's responses to these critics would do little to quell skepticism.
One of the most important lessons I've ever learned: real isn't who's with you standing at your celebrations. Real is who's standing with you at rock bottom.
If you're out there betting against me, I'd see about getting a refund.
Snark Reddit pages generally speaking, are full of psychopaths and parasocial freaks, but this was one of those rare instances where the snarkers were right on the money.
It's been brought to my attention that once again, the Reddit rats are spreading misinformation.
You see, in Amy's home state of Alabama, all charities are required to register with the Alabama Attorney General's office, and stuff about the charities should be available for anyone to look up online. But doing an online search for Amy's charity at the time yielded no results. This is a major red flag because if she raises money without being a legitimate registered charity, how the fuck do you know that the money is going to what was promised? You can't see the transactions. If she just had the cash in a random account, Slot could literally blow this cash on whatever and lie about it without being held in check. This revelation was shared by Redditors to authorities, along with additional concerns and evidence. Their reports leading to a formal investigation. In October of 2024, the Limestone County Sheriff's Office opened an official inquiry. Detectives took a look at Amy's personal bank account and found that since 2021, Amy Downs had deposited nearly $1 million into her account. It's important to note that Amy hadn't reported any form of employment since 2020. I wonder where all that money came from. Maybe she had an OnlyFans on the side.
What the fuck? Can I live? Can I live? Can I fucking live? Why y'all wanna fuck with me? Why? Why y'all so mad at me? What have I done to anybody?
Yeah, she was participating in charity fraud, allegedly slushing all of the money given to her in good faith and just dumping it in her bank account. Yeah, she might have been helping some DV victims, but who knows what else she was spending this fucking money on. She seemed to maintain a pretty nice lifestyle and she was unemployed reportedly, so you can kind of see the concern here.
Thank you for trying to tear me down, because that made me work harder to build me up. I did this. I did this. Congratulations to me.
As a result of these findings, the Limestone County Sheriff's Office had probable cause to make an arrest. Amy Downs was later arraigned on December 10, 2024 for 7 counts of charitable fraud in the first degree and 3 counts of tax evasion. She was taken to Limestone County Jail and held on a bond of $1,225,000, but managed to be bonded out the same day. Shortly after getting out, the crazy-ass lady was posting online, acting as if she had some Heisenberg-level plot to get out of this legal catastrophe unscathed.
Sure, I can't even stop breaking the law, breaking the law.
After her case became public, Amy was blasted as a fraud online, and her TikTok accounts would eventually be terminated. Amy's last hearing was on April 30th of 2025, with the case remaining in limbo until the next date in July. From what I understand, if convicted, Amy could be facing over 10 years in prison for this. Now, aside from everything else previously discussed, I find it curious that thousands of people online felt compelled to donate to a woman that went by the name Slot Machine Queen in the first place. Like, while I have no proof that she's a gambling addict or anything, but like, dude, isn't this like donating to an account called Fent Addict 420? You're asking for trouble here. Social media influencers are not my first pick when it comes to donating charity money. At the end of the day, most content creators are just regular, stupid, everyday people that got lucky on the internet. Hell, that goes for me too. If it's an influencer charity and you're compelled to give, at least make sure there's some kind of competent team behind it. Don't just give your money to some old hag who streams vertically on TikTok and looks like a run-of-the-mill crackhead that you might find outside of a Waffle House. Come on, guys.
The DraftKings Casino app is the place for jackpots. I like my wins Texas-sized.
This next influencer, I must admit, is probably the most creative when it comes to deceit, at least when compared to today's other motley crew of crooks. She was a reseller and drop shipper. Hey, hold your groaning, that's not even the worst part. This lady took things to another level, getting steep discounts and at times free high-priced goods from boutiques by telling the boutique owners that they were going to be a part of a reality show. What the fuck does that even mean? This is Monette Mejia, known as Mona. She began her journey as a reseller in 2015. A self-described struggling mother, the woman found her escape from relative poverty buying items from thrift shops, secondhand stores, garage sales, etc., and flipping them online for profit. And she was pretty good at this too, often finding relatively high-priced items that she could profit like 5x from, flipping and selling the stuff on Poshmark.
Which are awesome little booties. And these are actually, oh wow, these are Carlos Centeno. So cute, look at the detail. Awesome find.
By the end of her first year in the reselling flip business, she accumulated over $50,000 in profit. Not a bad start at all, but it would be in late 2020 when things really took off. During the COVID era, she did just about what everyone else was doing and attempted becoming an influencer on social media. Like, if you think about it, being a reseller and a popular online figure are a great combination of occupations. You can literally just shill your bullshit to your audience and they'll pay good prices because they like you. Mona would make a shitload of money utilizing an at-the-time form of product pushing, live online auctions. This format, initially popularized on Poshmark, were online auctions that took place on social media apps, wherein viewers could watch, chat, and of course purchase goods in real time from the host. Think of it like QVC but online, and more interactive.
Good luck! That one's got it! Whoa! I fell on my booty!
Mona ended up making hundreds of thousands of dollars utilizing social media and these auctions. Her family was able to purchase a brand new home, paid in full, and send 2 of her children to college without student loan debt. All things considered, thus far, there is absolutely nothing to be mad about in this story. This woman hustled, got her family out the mud, and the future was looking brighter than ever. But apparently, this wasn't enough for Mona. Getting a taste of the richest possible from reselling and under the influence of social media success, the woman became greedy somewhere along the way. She started to use her internet micro-celebrity fame and status in the online reselling community in an extremely exploitative way. Like, I couldn't come up with what she did if I tried. Around December of 2022, Mona would get into contact with a few other resellers in the Houston area where she lived, claiming that she had been casted in a TLC reality show revolving around her successful online resale business. She told these people that TLC was in the process of recruiting additional cast members and that they were specifically looking for Latina women who were resellers. And Mona was telling these women that she could get them a spot on the show. Mona was immensely popular and trusted in the reseller social media world. So these resellers took her word, offering Mona favors and goodwill in the hopes that they would get a spot on the show. One couple approached by Mona was Loretta and Kenneth Kadra, who owned a clothing resale store in Houston called First Dibs. The couple had done business with Mona in the past, and they trusted her. So when they heard of the new TLC gig, they charitably reached out, offering open access for filming in their shop, and even granted Mona $8,000 in store credit and $2,000 in cash. Their gesture made in good faith and a hope that being featured on the show could help expose their business to new customers. A quote from Loretta of First Dibs: "We thought it was a great business opportunity, great advertisement, so we offered her to shop with us." Unquote. After accepting the deal, Mona would let them know that in January of 2023 that they had been officially chosen by TLC to be a part of the show. The couple was ecstatic, giving Mona access to their shop along with the aforementioned store credit. And as a matter of fact, they actually ended up giving her far more than initially promised in terms of product. Items given to Mona included 26 purses, 4 messenger bags, 59 shirts, 29 dresses, 9 pairs of pants, 25 scarves, 7 pairs of shoes, 28 necklaces, and 9 planners, many of them being designer. This haul was about $46,000 in value. So you could tell these folks were really enthusiastic about helping Mona and were just thrilled to have an opportunity to be a part of this TLC show. A few days later, the Quadras were contacted by someone who they believed to be from TLC. This person seemingly confirming that the show deal was on. The email provided information about their filming schedule, along with proposed compensation for the goods that they had given to their apparent new star in Mona. But as you might imagine, in regards to this show, the can just kept getting kicked further and further, and the Quadras kept getting nickel and dimed. During negotiations, things quickly became sus. There was one instance where a planned show discussion meeting between Mona and the family was canceled last minute by Mona. And what followed was the supposed production company contacting the couple by email, claiming TLC had approved them for 4 to 5 episodes of the show, but they needed to pay $100,000 to the network for the deal to go through apparently. I thought you were supposed to win cash prizes on reality shows, not pay the network.
Booking.com has all kinds of stays because a laid-back beach house is right for some. But off-brand for others. Find exactly what you're booking for. Booking.com,
We're about to see if these 2 antiperspirants can stand up to the heat.
That's it. Yes, come on. Let's go. Have you got this?
Looks like Degree Ultra Clear can't take the heat. There's nothing from Degree that fights sweat.
Something ain't right here. Naturally, the couple felt the request was absurd and refused. However, Mona got back in touch with them, claiming she consulted with the television studio and said that TLC would accept $20,000 to go forward with the show, a sum that could be made in a series of payments. And I hate to say, but the Quadras accepted and made a first payment of $7,000 through Zelle. These poor angels, dude. They just want to be on TV, bless their hearts. A date and time was set for filming, but what do you know, when the day came around, there wasn't a camera in sight. This led the Quadras to finally come to the bitter conclusion that they had been scammed. They later managed to get a hold of TLC and Warner Brothers by phone, and the network would confirm that they were to be a part of no television show and that the network had no affiliation or any knowledge of who Mona was. Completely and absolutely bamboozled. Quote, "We are heartbroken because we genuinely believe these people. We genuinely believe these people were our friends." With the network confirming they had been swindled, the couple reached out to law enforcement. After receiving confirmation from TLC that they were in fact scammed by Mona, in September of 2023, the Quadras filed a complaint with the Harris County Police. Around this time, 3 other clothing resellers came forward, alleging the now infamous reseller had recruited them as well for the fabled TLC show, and promised them thousands of dollars if they participated and provided her with product. Many of them sent money and goods to Mona. During the investigation, police would trace the phone number from Mona's Zelle account used for the payments, confirming that she was in fact the one behind it all. When confronted by the police, Mona tried to fib them, saying that she too was a scam victim. Trying to make it seem like she wasn't the ringleader of this fraud and implying that it was some sort of Ponzi scheme where there was someone higher than her. As far as I know, she was the top dog. Needless to say, the police weren't buying what she was selling. On February 21st, 2024, Mona would be arrested and charged with aggregate theft. She'd end up posting a $10,000 bond shortly after her arrest and getting out. It was reported that her husband was also arrested and charged with theft too, so he's alleged of being a part of things as well. After Mona's arrest, there was a lot of chatter in the resale community on TikTok and Poshmark. Influencers who had once interacted with Mona had a lot to say about her, and it wasn't good stuff. There was one that claimed Mona told them she was suffering from brain cancer and got sympathy money from this person and then blocked him afterwards. Like, Mona's a complete fraud, bro.
I've been asked some questions about Mona. I don't know why people are asking me, because she blocked me 2 years ago. And I'm glad she did, because she blocked a few resellers that were actually doing live sales just like she was a couple of years ago. And I was killing it. Yes, I purchased from her probably about $3,000 worth, Coach bags, all those fun earrings that I have. I even bought Christmas gifts for people to help her pay for her brain tumor.
At the time of me publishing this video, Mona's TikTok is no longer active. Her Instagram and Facebook are private, and there's been no new updates regarding court appearances as far as I can tell. The case is still ongoing. Mona's case is a lesson of letting greed take over. You had a good thing going, but you just had to fly too close, didn't you? Looks like before too long, Mona will be back to the struggling, impoverished state that she started her social media journey at. Fucking crazy how that works out, huh? Luxury vehicles, massive mansions, designer clothing, and exorbitant wealth. Our next influencer accumulated not thousands, but millions of followers on social media, advertising himself as a mogul and ruthless businessman who achieved his enormous wealth through cunning investments. This is Hushpuppi. The extravagant influencer had 2.5 million followers on Instagram at his peak. Routine posts involve him flexing Ferraris and Maybach vehicles, $100,000 luxury watches, and him blowing money on champagne bottles at nightclubs. The man wasn't one for subtlety, often boasting that he had a multi-$100 million net worth that he earned through his own genius and hard work.
Listen, I'm the only person who comes to try clothes in this magical room. This is not for everybody. Not for everybody. You know? Woo.
So how was Hushpuppi able to acquire such extravagant funds? Well, at the time, the influencer claimed to have accumulated such funds through real estate investing, but that wasn't the whole story. Turns out the guy was participating in a laundry list of illegal activity that allegedly included money laundering, wire fraud.
Google Pixel 9a with Adme. Now you could take the photo and be in the photo.
Everything I touch turn gold, let the spot.
Nah.
And cyber heists. Hushpuppi's real name is Ramos Abbas, and he was born in Lagos, Nigeria. There he grew up incredibly poor. As a teenager, he washed cars to make ends meet and scraped by with what he could. However, Hush's financial situation pivoted after taking up a life of crime. The young man was introduced into a criminal ring in Nigeria called the Yahoo, or Yahoo Boys, a collection of Nigerian scammers that specialized in internet fraud. You know those Nigerian print scam emails from back in the day? A lot of the traffic and phishing attempts in your spam folder back in the day was probably coming from the company of fraudsters that Hushpuppi was a part of. Hush specialized in pretending to be an American soldier stranded in Africa and would send emails to people in the United States requesting money in order to get out of the country. I'm sure a lot of you guys have grandparents and even parents that would fall for this hook, line, and sinker. Like, this scam would one-shot your average Fox News dad. Over the years, Hush climbed the criminal ladder and became world famous in the underground scamming networks. He built an empire and collected an army of goons and cronies that worked under him, becoming a criminal ringleader himself. And he would sit back while his lackeys scammed for him, getting a cut of every transaction. One particular scheme Hushpuppi's entourage specialized in was a tactic known as business email compromise. This method involved the scammer hacking into a business email address, typically those of high-value organizations such as law firms and companies that frequently dealt in wire transfers. Using these emails, they would trick clients by sending invoices which linked to bank accounts controlled by Hush's criminal ring, fleecing customers and making the companies look as if they were defrauding their own clients. Essentially doing what your internet service provider does to you every month right now. Reportedly, Hushpuppi scams netted him over $450 million, making him one of the most prolific money launderers in the entire world. After accruing all of this wealth and the material spoils that came with it, that's when he made a foray into becoming an influencer. Beginning in 2012, he began posting about his lifestyle on social media. He started off as your typical self-help money-making guru, but things grew more blatant and braggadocious over time. The richer he got, the more he flaunted, drawing more and more attention to himself, and this brazen social media behavior is what would ultimately do him in. In 2018, the FBI and Interpol became interested in Hushpuppi. They wanted to know where all this money showcased on social media was coming from. Finding him for questioning was initially difficult, but the self-obsessed man would inadvertently give them a lead thanks to his own vanity. On October 12, 2018, during his 37th birthday celebration, Hushpuppi would post a picture of his elaborate birthday cake to social media, which was topped with a figurine of himself. There were 7 Fendi bags around it. This birthday celebration would help authorities confirm the man's date of birth. And with this, they were able to track him and find his visa application, identify him, and his residence, which at the time was in Dubai. To make matters worse for the influencer, investigators managed to obtain a phone operated by one of Hush's close associates, which contained messages between the associate and Hushpuppi talking about the various criminal operations and fraudulent transactions. Feeling they had enough evidence of fraud, they went for the capture. In June of 2020, as a part of Operation Fox Hunt 2, a Dubai SWAT team raided Hush's lavish residence, where they recovered over $40 million in cash, 13 vehicles worth $6.8 million, 47 smartphones, and over 2 million email addresses of potential victims. Hushpuppi was apprehended during the raid, along with a dozen other Nigerians that were living with him. The man was charged with conspiracy to launder money and was extradited to Los Angeles, United States. In April of 2021, Hush would plead guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to engage in money laundering. In October of 2022, it was reported that his Instagram had been deactivated. On November 7th of 2022, Hushpuppi would be sentenced to 135 months in federal prison and was also ordered to pay $1,732,841 in restitution to 2 fraud victims. I'm fairly certain that this guy is going to have to deal with more legal complications because there's no way he's getting away with this with only spending less than $2 million. Hushpuppi. It's crazy to know that Hushpuppi was the Nigerian prince that was trying to marry my aunt this entire time. I'm glad to have closure on that one. Well, you made it to the end. Let me know what you guys thought about the video down below in the comments section, and let me know who or what you want me to talk about next. I want to give a major shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys. Wavy Web Surf out. Peace. In the world of viral videos and public freakouts, to me personally, air rage incidents are the most compelling.
There's a bomb on this goddamn plane! If she takes me up, I'll blow the plane up!
Yeah, it seems like every week the internet is blessed with a TikTok or YouTube clip showcasing a passenger completely melting down mid-flight. What you may not realize is behind these 10 to 15 second clips are entire stories, rabbit holes to explore, and aftermaths to examine. The first air rage incident that we'll be looking at today is one that most of you watching are likely familiar with, at least on a surface level. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many air rage incidents occurred, but none were as controversial and virally well known as the JetBlue Burger King incident. This Burger King crown-wearing man has garnered quite the infamous reputation for himself.
Call the police right now! I know you saw it! She beat me in the stomach! Good! Excuse me, I'm part West African! I can say anytime I want! Bye! Kick that bitch off the plane!
Sir, please stop. Need to stop. There are children. Please stop. Stop!
Okay, that's not necessary.
Most of you may remember the racial tirade that he delivered on a JetBlue flight back in 2020. Over the years, the JetBlue Burger King guy has become somewhat of an enigmatic meme figure, with many curious as to what led up to his tirade and what became of the man after the fact. What you might be surprised to find is that there's actually quite a bit of lore surrounding this incident and the man responsible for it, Ryan Brewer. Ryan Brewer, originally from California, is a man with something of a mysterious backstory. What's known about Brewer prior to the racist BK incident comes from his online postings and anecdotal statements from alleged family members. It's said that Ryan is a man who struggles with mental health and has experienced much instability in his adult life. To further paint a picture of Mr. Brewer, one can look at old videos from a now defunct YouTube channel created by the guy. Videos uploaded to Ryan's channel are bizarre to say the least, and certainly jive with the notion that this man isn't the most put together guy.
I was contemplating right now, I'm really fucking grumpy, and like the whole world is shit, and like, you know what the fucking reason is that you won't talk to me, Samantha? Because you're too
Mayoiga. Imagine you get the opportunity to start a new life at a mysterious village located deep within the mountains, only to discover that this village isn't truly safe and something very sinister is going on behind the scenes, while also having to deal with 30 other complete strangers you just met for the first time. That's Mayoiga's premise in a nutshell, but I don't think it truly describes how much of a waste of time this anime is. Mayoiga, or The Lost Village, is supposed to be a psychological horror anime, but the only terrifying part about it is how much wasted potential this show has. There are some genuinely intriguing ideas in this show, but these ideas are nothing more than ideas, because by the end of this show, all of this might as well just be a fart in the wind. So I asked my channel members to decide on what anime I should review next, and Mayoiga ended up winning. And this show suffers from having way too much going on despite the very limited runtime it has. In just 12 episodes, this anime tries to balance a village so mysterious that it's become an urban legend, a strange entity that seems to torment everyone in the village, characters' past histories and traumas that end up photobombing the plot, random subplots involving random characters with their own sinister plans that end up basically leading nowhere, complex relationships between the major characters, and oh, there are literally 30 characters in the show, or more, I don't even know. And this show ain't like One Piece, where you have basically an entire human lifespan to tell the story that needs to be told. And unfortunately, this all culminates into an anime so excruciatingly mid that it ultimately just feels like a giant waste of my time. Hello everyone, my name is Leo Hashi, and today I watched Mayoiga so that you don't have to. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see me slowly but surely lose my mind. And a huge shout out to my channel members. This would not be possible without you guys. And if you're interested in supporting me, feel free to check out my memberships. It helps out a lot. And just a heads up, this show does go into some very serious subjects such as abuse, so please watch with caution if that's a topic that might be upsetting. Mayoiga is a 2016 psychological horror anime, but with heavy quotation marks around the psychological horror part, because the only thing that made me scream from horror while watching the show was how long the show was taking to actually end. It follows a group of 30 young men and women who all go on a bus tour to the mysterious Nanaki village in hopes of starting a new life or escaping the troubles of their old one. However, once they arrive at the village, they realize that there are many mysteries behind this village that have yet to be discovered. This show is so fucking mid.
大家好，欢迎收看一环收容测试前瞻特别节目，我是今天的主持人光线。再过几天呢，我们的收容测试就要开始了，相信大家都很好奇，游戏中会有哪些新的变化。那本期节目呢，我们就邀请了2位制作组的成员，一起给大家介绍一下2测版本的内容更新和优化。那请2位先做下自我介绍吧。
大家好，我是策划马卡龙。
大家好呀，我是美术椰酱。
节目开始前，我要特别感谢大家一直以来对一环的支持，大家提出的许多建议都对我们2测版本的开发提供了很大帮助。相比首测，这次我们准备了很多新内容、新玩法，希望大家喜欢。
美术视觉上呢，我们也对游戏的整体视觉效果做了优化升级，稍后我会给大家详细介绍。
没错，今天的内容保证是量大管饱。我们这次给大家带来了包括大世界更新、角色美术升级、新角色和新玩法的演示等等内容。最后也会给大家介绍一下这次测试的详细安排。鉴定师们可以跟随我们的介绍，游览经过全面升级的海特洛市。首先是我们的第一个部分，大世界的更新及优化。 其实在之前的测试招募 PV 里面，大世界这部分的更新好像已经初见端倪了，不如这里我们先来回顾下之前的 PV 吧。
在刚刚的 PV 里，大家其实已经能够看到很多手册中都没有出现过的新场景了，像是一开始出现的高楼林立的商业区、山脚下的车站、夜幕中的五连发卡湾等等。不过在介绍新场景之前，我想先给大家展示一下本次我们对桥间地等手册区域进行重新装修的成果。
Man, like, I've talked about this before, but I always find that the truly mid anime are always the ones that I dread watching and talking about the most. At least when a show is horrendously bad, like School Days, for example. It's somewhat engaging, like a car crash that I'm unable to look away from despite how awful it is, but the mid shows like Mayoiga over here hook you in with an interesting premise and some sort of potential just to become a snooze fest halfway through the show, and then leave you with like a bazillion unresolved plot points that makes you question why humanity even exists in the first place. And oh my god, the characters. Before anything else, I just need to complain about the characters, okay? In the first episode, they spend literally 5 minutes just introducing every single character that appears in the show. And my god, by the time I got to like the 5th or 6th character, I just gave up even trying to learn most of their names. It's like you literally just begin the show and they're trying to make you remember 30 different names all at once and expect you to immediately know who they are or what kind of personality they have or whatever. This shit is giving me flashbacks to my freshman year of college when we had to do those stupid ass icebreaker games like introduce yourself by adding an adjective to your name that begins with the same first letter. And I'd always say, hi, I'm Lazy Leo. And then we'd have to try and remember literally everyone else's name and list them off on the spot. Oh my god, anyway. As someone who is really bad with remembering names the first time, this show was an absolute nightmare for me. And let me tell you, there's like maybe 3 or 4 characters that I genuinely liked. And then there's a bunch of completely forgettable NPCs. And then there's a few that I just could not fucking stand because, oh my god, they were so goddamn annoying throughout their entire time on the show. And it's not even like One Piece where you can at least tell apart even the minor characters because they have some absurdly unique design choice, or they laugh like nah, some of these characters look like they were generated by an AI based on the prompt anime character. And the amount of times these characters spend arguing with each other over the stupidest shit is phenomenal. It's basically half the show. Like the arguing is just half the show, which is annoying on its own because I don't give a fuck about what bitch boy McGee thinks about the situation every time. I just want to know more about the mystery behind the village itself. So yeah, I think the best way for me to tell you just how stupid the show is, I gotta just give you a recap of what happens in each episode so you can see how this anime ends up collapsing upon itself by the end of it and just ends up becoming a complete waste of time. But you know what isn't a waste of time? Japanese snacks. This video is sponsored by Tokyo Treat and Sakurako. Tokyo Treat is a fun and exclusive monthly snack box packed with Japan's coolest and craziest treats. Each month you get a rare Kit Kat flavor, limited edition chips, noodles, and the latest treats from Japan straight to you. Sakurako is a monthly Japanese artisan snack box that supports local makers across Japan. Each box is carefully curated with traditional and seasonal snacks like mochi, dorayaki, manju, and more, including signature Japanese teas and an exclusive homeware item. It's time! First, let's check out the next month's Tokyo Treat box. Okay, I always do that. Every month, Tokyo Treat and Sakurako have a theme. This upcoming month's theme is Harajuku Snack Venture. And of course, the booklet comes with all the information about the snacks. You got some of the culture. You got the goodest boy over here. And it comes with all the snack information, including the allergy information if you need that. So this box comes with cookies and cream Kit Kats, fruity fizz gummies, grape rainbow belts, salted lemon pretzel sticks, Kirby's crazy gum mix, happy Harajuku chocolate cake, garlic potato chips, a mega marshmallow stick. Look at his face, dude. Look at his face. Crunchy cheese puffs, Simply Sweet DIY ice cream, super sour chewing candy, seafood and vegetable dashi ramen, fabulous fried rice crackers, and finally twisty corn bites. Alright, now it's my favorite part of this whole thing. We get to sample some of the snacks. I always like to start with the chips because they are always good. They never fail. It's like a garlic seaweed fusion. This is incredible. I need to put this away before I finish all of it. I'm also very curious about these fizzy gummies. They're kind of small. Oh yeah. I don't know what it is. Japan does gummies so well. Next up, I want to try the cookies and cream Kit Kats. It's got that classic cookies and cream look. Nani? Dude, what? Kit Kats are already peak. I thought it would be impossible to improve upon it. This one is easily one of my favorites. Oh my god. Next up, let's look through the Sakurako box coming for the next month. Wow! The upcoming theme for Sakurako is Mount Fuji Summertime. This box has matcha genmaicha, which is brown rice tea with matcha infused in it, I think. Grape cognac jelly, Mount Fuji biscuit, Mount Fuji jelly, Mount Fuji chocolate crunch, Mount Fuji kohakuto, matcha freehand, chocolate and plain melon wafers, Shizuka green tea cookie, Amao strawberry dorayaki, Ako salt agemochi rice crackers, Nori wasabi arare rice cracker, Sakura shrimp kakimochi rice cracker. Every month, Sakurako comes with a traditional Japanese item. This coming month's item is a beautiful Mount Fuji dish. I mean, look at that. It's just so pretty, so beautiful. Definitely one worth adding to the collection. All right, now it's time to sample some of these snacks. The one that caught my eye, obviously, is the rice crackers. I mean, what else is there to say? The rice crackers are delicious. You don't even need the dictionary to describe how amazing this is. Next up, I'm gonna try the cognac jelly. So it comes in these little small packages. You're supposed to slurp it up. I mean, come on. Tastes just like a grape, but it's like a jelly. But it's not like a regular jelly. And of course, I had to try the matcha genmaicha. I've never really had a brown rice tea combined with matcha flavored tea. But the mix worked really well. And if you're a tea connoisseur, then there's no way you wouldn't enjoy this tea. But yeah, those are the upcoming month's Tokyo Treat and Sakurako boxes. If you would like to purchase one for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, then make sure to check the link in the description below and use code LEOHASHI at checkout to get $5 off of your first order of Tokyo Treat or Sakurako. Thank you once again to Tokyo Treat and Sakurako for sponsoring sponsoring this video. And now let's move on to the main part of the video, shall we? Alright, well, let's now dive into the mysterious and awe-inspiring world of Mayoiga, shall we? Episode 1 begins and we see a bunch of anime peeps in a tour bus. Everyone was gathered here because they were a chosen few who cleared some website puzzle or whatever weird shit. But anyways, now they're on a bus tour. Their destination is a mysterious place known as Nanaki Village. It's a mysterious village that doesn't even exist on the map. Not even police are able to locate it. The rumor is that people who go to this village have gone missing and they've never come back. Some speculate that maybe they just established a new culture of their own and f***ed off from society, while others speculate that it was used for spy training, but it was wiped out to protect government secrets, or maybe spooky ghosts. Bro, just imagine a ghost just rises up from the toilet and just like claps your cheek. The bus tour is known as the Life Redo Tour or whatever the fuck. The bottom line is many people on this tour signed up because they wanted an opportunity to move to Nanaki Village and away from society in order to start their life over again. Anyways, now we begin the 5-minute introduction section of every character in the show. I'm gonna organize this part so you can actually have an understanding of who's an important character, who ends up doing nothing the entire time, yada yada yada. Also, as a heads up, the people on this show call each other by their screen names and not their actual names. So basically, rather than like, hi, I'm John Smith, they're like, hi, I'm @Legendary Fire Sorcerer, nice to meet you. So starting off with the most prominent characters. The main character of this anime is a young high schooler named Mitsumune. Mitsumune is a timid guy with a very messed up backstory that I'll go into later, but he came on this tour in order to try and grow into his own independent self. He went to an all-boys school, so predictably he's like, what? Girls? Girls? Oh, am I talking to a girl? I thought those only existed in myths. He's not like overtly cringe about it, but it's a pretty big aspect of his character at first, so that's why I'm bringing this up. Next up is Mitsumune's bestie and another member of the tour, Hayato. His screen name is Speedstar, but I'm gonna just call him Hayato because Speedstar is low-key such a whack screen name. I'm sorry to any viewers who might be named Speedstar, okay? You're cool, but this guy isn't, okay? I'm biased. Anyways, Hayato is Mitsumune's best friend who has always protected him from classmates who would bully him and has always given the quote-unquote right advice for any situation. However, Hayato himself suffers from his own very messed up backstory and his friendship with Mitsumune becomes very questionable considering a lot of times Hayato just expects Mitsumune to just do everything that he says, but we'll go into all of that later. Masaki is a girl who seems to have a lot of strange quirks and superstitions. She also seems to have a lot of secrets of her own that she hides from everyone else on the tour, causing everyone to become very suspicious of her. She's pretty timid and has a hard time opening up about a lot of things, which only adds to the drama of this show. I try to describe her personality a bit more, but the more I think about it, the more it feels like she's just a convenient plot device rather than an actual character at times. Now let me talk about some characters who aren't necessarily major characters, but they did enough in the show for me to actually remember who they are. And to be honest, some of these guys, I'm just gonna give them like shitty nicknames to make it easier for both you and me to remember them. The tour guide and the host of this entire event is this dude named Dahara. He has a very casual and laid-back personality, but also he's honestly a fucking weirdo and I don't really like him too much. Volcana is a dude with a very brash personality. He immediately at the beginning of the show assigns himself to be the leader of this group to the dismay of many others and is quick to pick a fight with anyone. He starts off honestly annoying as shit and he's like not really that great of a person, but I also found him to be at least somewhat intriguing as a character, which you can't say for a lot of other characters in this show. Glasses is a dude who I'm just gonna call Glasses because he wears glasses. He seems to be very cocky and conceited, believing in himself more than anybody else on the planet, and many times throughout the show he sort of delegates himself to be the sort of leader figure whenever an argument breaks out in the group, even though no one really asked for it. Love Pawn is a girl who is absolutely obsessed with the concept of executions. Not like, oh, I'm executing this command now as you press the enter button or whatever. No, like actually just unaliving people. She is batshit fucking crazy, and if I was on this tour, I'd want to leave just because of this girl. She's also probably the most annoying character in this show, in my opinion. She has a very fucked up backstory that I guess explains why she's like this, but it's almost like she has a biological necessity of just screaming the word execute, execute in every sentence or else she'll die. It gets really fucking annoying really fast. Yotsun is a rapper. He's sort of annoying and kind of a creep at times in the show, but he ends up playing a big role for some unknown reason that I'll never understand. Gun-loving cat girl is self-explanatory. She's a girl who speaks like a cat and really likes guns. I think they're BB guns and not actual weapons, so YouTube, please don't fucking freak out on me. They are BB guns. They're not real. But anyways, she exists in the show and she's low-key annoying as hell. Survival Guy is a guy who is obsessed with surviving in nature and stuff like that. He's also low-key annoying as hell. Hyoketsu no Judgeness. That's his name. He's a Chunibyo with an eye patch, you know, that guy who's like, oh, I'm sealing away some hidden power or whatever. Who gives a shit? This man calls himself Hyoketsu no Judgeness and expects everyone to remember it and then gets upset when they don't. I don't know. What if you called yourself something a little less cringe? Jack is a silent dude who unfortunately gets judged very heavily based on this and other actions that he's done in the past. Leon is a mysterious young girl with a very standoffish personality. She seems to carry some kind of mystical power, but let me tell you right now, even after finishing the show, I have no fucking idea what it is because the show's writing sucks ass. Mai Mai is a girl who exists in the show. She is a very hard-headed individual who at first seems to be kind of a snake, like trying to fuck around with Mitsumune's feelings and whatnot, but she turns out to be one of the most grounded people in the entire show. Nanko is a detective or private investigator, and to be honest, she's my favorite character in the show. I might as well just call her Nangoat because she seems to be the only character in the show who is capable of doing actual critical thinking and keeping her calm despite all of the insanity going on around her. And although he doesn't get like a formal introduction or even an actual name, the bus driver is a character who plays a role in the story too. His assigned name in the show is Driver. Even the opening shows his name to be Driver. He's an older dude with a fuck everyone in their bullshit type of attitude. He's got his own issues too. And now we have a whole lot of NPCs that I don't even want to bother naming because truthfully, I don't remember most of their names or who even they are or what the hell they do. So let's just make this quick. Dozaemon is a guy who loves to eat and he only thinks about food, but he's truly my spirit animal in that way. Then there's the chill dude who in any situation is the one to tell everybody, we should all chill out. Weak body dude has a weak body. Hat guy wears a hat the entire time. Girl with glasses wears glasses. Spiky brown hair guy is legitimately one of the most NPC characters in anime history. Beanie girl wears a beanie the entire time. The PDA couple spends the entire show just doing PDA. Green hair girl exists in the show. High heels girl also exists in the show. Then there's apparently 3 people with the exact same screen named Yuna, so they end up just saying, okay, we'll just call you guys Yuna, Yune, and Yuno, which is so fucking stupid, but whatever. It doesn't matter which one is which, because none of the Yunas or Yunes or whatever do anything worth jack shit in the show other than exist in the background anyway. The real horror of the show might just be the image of being trapped in a very strange tour bus with 30 other emotionally unstable strangers. Social anxiety, who? So yeah, have you memorized all that yet? Well, too bad, because the story's gonna go on with or without you anyway. Everyone begins to start singing some kind of really dark song about a hippopotamus dying or something. I don't really know. Masaki is seen crying as they all sing this song. As they take a break at a rest stop, Hayato insults everyone else who's here for a do-over. Mitsumune puts his phone on mute as he receives a barrage of texts from his mother, who had found out that he skipped cram school. Mai Mai, on the bus, flirted with Mitsumune, but then begins to show her true colors behind his back, declaring that she actually hates people like him. Mitsumune bumps into Masaki, who is now crouching over in pain in front of a vending machine. She's like, there might be bad luck if I don't hold my breath until this machine is done vending. I'm sorry, I sound insane. I know. I mean, she was apparently crying for the hippo in a song while on the bus earlier, so wow, she must be such an empath girly. Anyway, she starts feeling car sick, so Mitsumune goes to get some car sickness medicine for her on the bus. There he bumps into Leon, who's like, I hope we don't turn into cannibals. Oh my god, wow. This Life Redo tour is starting off so great, isn't it? Now everyone is back on the bus and they're playing a game where they list off methods of torture, which is definitely a fun game for everyone to play, you know, like we got Connect 4, Candyland. Oh, and the list off the methods of torture game, right? I love that one. The bus driver begins to say that this is way too irresponsible. He thought it was just a regular tour. Dahara, the tour guy, responds that they're just leaving their old lives behind, to which the driver retorts, that's the irresponsible part. You shouldn't be talking about starting over so lightly while they're still so young. They don't know shit about life. Humans don't run away, they work through their lives. As the driver calls them all babies, Volcana activates one of his abilities, being an absolute bitch, and starts to beef with the driver. The driver then gets very pissed off, venting out loud about the many problems that he himself has been having, and begins to speed up the bus, threatening to unalive everyone along with himself as an accident? Yo, emotional stability seems to be a foreign concept to the people of this tour. As this happens, Jack gets up talking about how adults are all the same and begins to throw hands at the driver. Masaki tries to stop them, but as the bus almost crashes, she accidentally vomits on the driver, causing everything to stop. Mitsumune buys Masaki a drink. She compliments him, to which he gets all emotional and begins to cry. Everyone begins hearing some kind of music box in the the distance. They find some kind of clock with a speaker on it and a mysterious girl singing a mysterious song in the distance. Everyone say hello to Koharun, a university student studying folklore and the other tour guide of this thing alongside Dahara. She says the song is a traditional nursery rhyme from Nanaki village. Apparently Koharun is also the one who gave everyone the info about said village. She tries to guide everyone, which you know is her job as the tour guide, but Volcana gets all pissy, asking her why she's taking the lead. Sign me up for this tour, guys. Everyone just seems to be so wonderful to be around. Anyways, they approach a certain bridge, and past that bridge is Nanaki village. Episode 2 begins with them crossing the bridge. However, the fog thickens and it's too much to drive through it with the bus. But Volcana activates his secondary ability, being a dickhead, and forces the driver to keep going. They keep driving until the bus begins to shake and literally slides off a mountainside, getting stuck and becoming unable to move anymore. As a group of very wonderful people get off the bus, they all just say, who cares about the bus? We can just leave it here. Even though they were the ones who forced this dude to keep driving through the terrible conditions, but they're just like, oh well, we're restarting our lives, so who cares? The driver, on the other hand, wasn't even supposed to be a part of this whole redoing our lives situation type deal, so he's just getting completely screwed over by these idiots, which, okay, to be fair, the driver did just try to, you know, wipe them all out in a moment of anger from this planet in Minecraft, so it's kind of hard to feel bad for anyone at this point. Dahara, the tour guide, also just refuses to take any responsibility, which is basically his entire character. By this point, the show's main premise of everyone arguing over the same bullshit over and over again already begins to show, as everyone is starting to bicker. One of them says they don't need money anymore, they could just give all of it to the driver to compensate, but this also just then becomes another argument, like I can't. These arguments always end up going nowhere, and someone has to interject and make everyone shut up for a second, and it's always super annoying, to be honest. Everyone just destroying the driver too. One of them just calls him Mr. Useless to his face, which, okay, kind of mean, but also, again, he did just try to mass unalive them, so, you know. Anyways, they give the driver all their wallets in exchange for his silence and begin to walk on foot. The driver in the bus ponders about his life until someone begins to knock on his window, and it cuts away from him as he makes a shocked face. Mitsumune seems to have caught some sort of interest for Masaki, which Hayato tells him to stop, saying, "You fall for people too easily." Mitsumune questions his entire existence, but then Leon talks to him and asks if he's dating Hayato. Mitsumune just says Hayato has always looked out for him. And for the first few episodes, you know, as mentioned earlier, Mitsumune is the generic, like, oh my god, I'm panicking, I've never been near a girl before type of guy, so he begins to freak the fuck out. Leon is standing close to him and he's just literally monologuing out loud, like, oh my god, I've never had a chance to look at a girl from so close before. Am I falling for another one again? Oh my god. Mitsumune also talks to Nanko, the detective private investigator, and says that she smells good and is helpful. And then he's like, maybe I am quick to fall for people. Someone screams and says that they saw something huge. The others suspect a bear until they see a big ass footprint, and it doesn't seem like a bear. What is happening? Anyways, they're able to reach the mysterious and impossible to find village with ease somehow, and Dahara, the tour guide, says the first thing they should do is greet the people who live here. However, they find out that no one is there. There's hella dust on everything. It seems like the village has been abandoned for a whole year. They wonder if everyone has died, which isn't out of the realm of possibility. However, it's too clean for that. Love Pond then activates her one character trait, Execution Girl, and asks if they might have executed everybody. Volcana says it doesn't matter either way. They're all here to start a new life. Everyone else splits up and explores the village. Mitsumune tries to go with Masaki, but he gets grabbed by Mai Mai and green-haired girl instead. During the investigation, the survival guy is like, women are biologically weaker, so they're only holding us back from survival anyways. Though in the long run, they can be an effective means of preserving the species. I can't, bro. I can't. Oh, also the PDA couple just keeps overtly PDAing everywhere. They find some gardening hose and there's a red tinge on them as if it's blood, but it's probably just rust though, right? Meanwhile, Jack and Hyoketsu no Judgeness talk, or rather, Hyoketsu of Judgeness talks to Jack, and Jack just stays silent. Hyoketsu no Judgeness accuses Jack of stealing his screen name because they sound similar, which I don't really see, to be honest. The only similarity in their name is the J, you know, Jack and Judgeness, but whatever, man. You know, this guy just has to be unique and quirky and not like the other girls. Hyoketsu no Judgeness then yells at Jack, saying, "You're stealing my character traits too. You're just copying me. You're a ripoff. Listen up, don't copy me anymore. If you push it, this cursed right hand might go berserk. Are you scared?" And Jack just says nothing the entire time. Yotsune the rapper decides that he's gonna try to get with Masaki, if you catch my drift, and he tells the others, you guys can have this girl and that girl and that girl, like
Pet Libro. Designed better for your lives together.
Oh dear God, bro. Again, sign me up for this tour full of just wonderful people. As they search, Yotsun approaches Masaki and invites her to go somewhere else with just the two of them. And it's not really an invite anymore at some point because he just takes her hand and drags her along with him, which, Green hair girl leaves Mitsumune and Maimai alone. Maimai begins to flirt with him, but then Mitsumune says, wait, I'm fine. I don't feel nervous at all, as she holds his hand. And then he explains to her what Hayato had said earlier. He's like, I guess I don't just fall for anyone, to Maimai. And then she gets really mad about this and begins to yell at him. I was just gonna play with you anyways because you remind me of Kayama-kun. What? Who? What are you talking about? And then she's like, whatever, and then just walks away, and I'm just like, what is going on? However, the two of them hear a noise in the distance as the driver walks out of the bushes. He says that he changed his mind. As the adult, he has to watch over them all and decides to stay in the village with them. Right. And as the adult, it was also your responsibility to literally unalive everyone on that tour bus? I mean, sorry, I know I keep bringing it up, but I mean, it's just an insane thing to do, right? Like, I'm not going crazy. Nanko, or Nangoat, begins to interrogate the two tour guides on how they even found Nanaki Village. Koharun says that she received a mysterious email with detailed instructions on how to get to the village, which is definitely not suspect at all. It's an unknown sender too, so yeah, even more of a reliable source. God, I hope she didn't get any calls about her car's extended warranty. She said she did consider telling the police, but that would actually make it impossible to visit the place. However, during this conversation, some of the others come back, saying that Masaki and Yotsun the rapper have vanished. Episode 3 begins with them discussing what must have happened. Someone suggests maybe they went out to have a little fling, and Mitsumune is like, Masaki isn't like that. She wouldn't go out with this rapper. Oh, I meant like, it's probably not that kind of situation, you know? I'm not saying the man is an outright simp, but he's kind of a simp, low-key. Everyone's already freaking out and yelling at each other as they begin to look for Masaki and Yotsun the rapper. Someone else screams and they find a claw mark on a tree with blood on it. They hear noises in the forest as the ground begins to shake and everyone runs away. Mitsumune sees an eye in the bushes and falls down the side of a hill. He gets up and then finds Masaki with marks on her skin, hiding from something. Masaki reunites with everyone else. She explains that Yotsun the rapper dragged her along, but then he saw something in the distance and asked, what are you doing here? And walked into the forest, never coming back. Masaki got worried, so she went to look for him. But then apparently she just couldn't get up or something, and she has no idea what happened to him. Someone accuses her of lying, and then they interrogate her until Mitsumune comes to her defense, saying she's already in shock and it's not helpful to barrage her with a bunch of accusations, which, you know, true. But also, Masaki's explanation makes no sense to me, and I've literally finished the show, so I don't really know what to think of this. Others respond, this is life or death, and continue to freak the fuck out, some even wanting to leave the village. But the driver says he's not going back if even one person is staying. Volcana says that those who want to go home can just leave, but the mountains outside the village are even more dangerous. Volcana says it's pointless to continue arguing about whatever. It's better to just look for Yotsun the rapper. And I hate his ass, but he's kind of speaking facts right now. Everyone just spirals into the same kind of argument over and over again. Like, it's just, I can't. I understand the panic. I understand they're all confused and freaking out, but oh my god, these arguments just get nothing productive done ever. Anyways, they set some rules for staying in his village or whatever. Masaki tells Mitsumune that he doesn't need to cover for her anymore, because that just means he'll get cut off from the rest of them. Later, Hayato tells him, you can't come to an understanding with some girl you only met yesterday. You just have to do what I tell you. When has my advice been wrong? You stopped getting bullied in middle school thanks to me. Okay, I mean, I don't know. Mitsumune looks bothered by this because clearly Hayato might have a bit of a skewed perception on their friendship with each other. Anyways, they decide to cook some food and take veggies from a garden in the village. Koharu notices that the gardens are very well maintained, as if someone was tending to them literally the day before. Maimai is pissed at Mitsumune and gets flustered when she gets accused of falling for him. Meanwhile, the search for Yotsun the rapper just does not go well. Later on, Hyoketsu no Judgeness gets put in the same room as Jack, and the others in the room decide to call them Jack-kun and Hyoketsu-kun to avoid confusion. Jack goes outside and comes back with a gardening hoe and literally swings it at Hyoketsu no Judgeness, and everyone stops Jack and ties him up. Maimai recognizes Jack and reveals that she went to the same elementary school as him. She also says there was a rumor that he caused an incident a year before the story. The incident was apparently a student stabbing another classmate, and Jack was the perpetrator. Mitsumune tells everyone to wait and tries to explain, but everyone just calls Jack a criminal. Mitsumune says we don't know actually what happened with the incident, but it doesn't really matter because regardless, Volcana says he's taking Jack without even giving Jack a chance to defend himself. He shows them a dungeon-like space underground, and it's just a prison room, which, what the fuck? fuck is this nasty ass dungeon prison room thing doing in this village? Don't worry guys, we will literally never find out. Anyways, they lock Jack up for the night despite some people thinking that it's going way too far. Volcana continues to look for Yotzun and Koharun asks him about his convictions. Volcana then reluctantly explains his past. He used to be a freelance systems engineer. However, he was made into a scapegoat during an information leaking incident and was erased from society after that. He never wants to feel responsible for anyone else because his life is his own life. Koharun says, why would you even sign up for a tour with strangers then? Maybe truthfully you don't want to be alone. He freaks out over this and then pushes Koharun into the wall, and then she's like, go ahead, hit me if you want, and he just walks away. Again, emotional stability who? Mitsumune wakes up in the middle of the night and goes out to check on Jack. He bumps into Mai Mai, who says that if she didn't bring up the past, then Jack wouldn't have been locked up like this. Mai Mai says that she had heard rumors that Jack was actually the target of extreme bullying. What Jack did was wrong, but this is just too much. Love Pawn, the execution girl, then walks towards them and proves that she is absolutely fucking bonkers in the head. She straight up asks if they're going to execute Jack because all criminals should be executed. But when the others tell her that they're just going to check in on him because they're worried about him, she begins to genuinely freak the fuck out. You would think her just yelling execution, execution over and over again in the show is just a sort of gag or like a quirky character trait or whatever, but no dog, she's dead ass. Like, you can't take pity on a criminal. If you do, tragedy will befall everyone. And she begins to cry. She then pushes Mitsumune into the water and starts to actually try and drown him. Right after this absolute fucking insanity, of course, because this is water, he sees through her clothes and he gets all freaked out and embarrassed and pushes her off and runs away. And as he runs away, he stops and they see Yotzun the rapper's body floating through the river. Episode 4 begins with everyone looking for Yotzun while Love Pawn continues to be annoying as shit. So yeah, we're just gonna ignore the fact that Love Pawn literally just tried to kill Mitsumune in Minecraft over some kind of perceived delusion that she has, and literally no one's gonna bat an eye or question this girl's sanity. She's dead as a danger to society and y'all are just like, oh, that's just Love Pawn being Love Pawn, you know, just being quirky, always trying to execute people. Seriously? And the fact that the reason why Mitsumune survived is because he got embarrassed because he got a peep of her undergarments in the water. Like, it's just, what the hell is this shit, bro? This show is insane, dude. Anyways, they call off the search after hearing a loud roar in the distance. The group begins to split into two, those who want to leave the mountain and those who want to stay and hunt the monster or whatever it is. Masaki begins to say that it's probably more dangerous to try to leave than to stay. Glasses decides to start heading down the mountain and a bunch of people begin to follow him. Hayato also tries to leave and tries to force Mitsumune to come along, but the two argue about this and Mitsumune doesn't want to leave until they at least find Yotzun. Glasses and Volcana chat and Glasses suspects that someone among them might have killed Yotzun. Amogus! Glasses suspects that Koharun might be up to something. Why does she just suddenly join in the middle of the tour, and why is the village so damn clean? He also suspects Masaki knows something more, but she's hiding it. The next morning, Glasses and the squad attempt to leave the village. During this expedition, Mai Mai and the green-haired girl wonder if Hayato and Mitsumune had a fight. Hayato responds that he was just warning him about Masaki because she's shady, and Mai Mai accuses Hayato of being too controlling of Mitsumune. They get to the bus and try to heave ho again, but the bus won't budge. Then they hear the sound of the roar in the distance. Glasses says they'll try their best before it gets dark, but some people begin to question themselves. Back in the village, the driver begins to walk away on his own. Koharun and the tour guide wonders what he's up to, while Dahara, the main tour guide, who is literally one of the parties responsible for managing this entire event, continues to ignore his responsibilities and instead just spend half the show after this just simping over Koharun like, oh my god, Koharun, you're always right, and shit like that, you know, just absolutely kissing her ass all the time and whatnot. Mitsumune worries about Hayato. Leon tells him that she's unsure if they can make it down the mountain, but they won't die, showing she might know something more. We also see that Jack had somehow left his cell. Glasses and the squad continue down the path and mark the trees with numbers. To their horror, however, they realize that they had walked in a loop somehow. As they discuss, the roar gets even louder than before. Hyoketsu no Judgeness begins to break down and screams as he sees Jack in the distance. Hyoketsu no Judgeness slips and falls down a hill as Jack disappears. The others continue to run away, but are forced to stop as they end up at a cliffside. They then see some train tracks in the distance. When they get to the tracks, they find a giant tunnel. They go in, but they all see something that scares them so much, and they all begin to run out of the tunnel while screaming. Mai Mai screams, "There's a large Mitsumune!" which does sound very spooky. Oh my god. Mitsumune tells Masaki that he's happy she complimented his handle name, which he reveals is his actual name, but no one's ever said that about his name before. Masaki just says sorry, cries, and then runs away. The driver walks off into the forest and sees a little girl, but then is confronted by Volcana and Koharun. The tour guides and Volcana ask the driver what he knows, and he talks about Misato, his daughter who had died 10 10 years ago, and how he keeps seeing her. Episode 5 begins with the driver saying he's gonna take his dead daughter home, and everything will go back to how it used to be. After his daughter's death, his wife had left him, and his house was taken away, which, okay, pretty fucking sad and tragic stuff. Glasses and the squad all come back to the village. They all go check the dungeon to realize that Jack had escaped, and suspects that someone might have helped him. Everyone is now back in the same room, discussing what just happened. The biggest takeaway from this conversation is that literally no one can remember Hyoketsu no Judgeness' name, even though he just slid down a hill and disappeared and potentially died. In fact, they spend an absurd amount of time debating what his name was, and they just resort to calling him Kitsukun, which translated to Askun, which is funny, but also isn't this supposed to be a psychological horror anime? Anyways, they decide they should stay in the village and see what happens. Glasses brings up the point that everyone seems to be hearing a different noise. He accuses Koharun of setting them up, but Volcana comes to her defense as there's no proof. Glasses also says Masaki is suspicious, as well as anyone who agreed with her. He says there might be a mastermind, and the argument becomes more intense, but Leon shudders and points at Mitsumune with a horrified face. She says Mitsumune might be a ghost, and says she saw him disappear for a second. Leon then tells everyone that she has a special power that allows her to see dead people? The driver begins to ask Leon if she saw Misato, his deceased daughter, and everyone finds out about how the driver has been seeing the ghost of his daughter. The paranoia within the group continues to grow. Love Pond continues to be absolutely insane and demands the execution of Mitsumune, like actually executing him, accusing him of trying to help Jack escape. They also accuse Mai Mai of letting Jack go because of their prior connection. Love Pond then reveals to everyone that she was actually going to genuinely unalive Jack, and everyone is like, okay, wait, hold on, that might be going a bit too far. And I'm just like, y'all are too comfortable with a person who is literally willing to drown an innocent young man. Anyways, the argument ends with everyone getting tired. Mitsumune thanks Mai Mai, who says the large figure she saw probably wasn't Mitsumune anyways. Later, we see Mitsumune is following some girls at night without them realizing. What the fuck? Is he just straight up stalking these people? I mean, I know it's supposed to be like, oh, Mitsumune is such an awkward guy, but this is so weird. Anyways, Hayato approaches him and is like, the fuck are you doing, dude? Mitsumune apologizes to Hayato for not listening earlier, but Hayato says just forget it, and that maybe Mitsumune was right this time. Hayato warns Mitsumune that he already looks sus as fuck to everyone, so be careful who he hangs around. As Mitsumune is about to walk away, he's approached by a few girls who asked him to stand guard, and they're clearly taking advantage of him. A few of them discuss their suspicions and conspiracies in the shadows. Glasses finds Koharun, the tour guide, Mitsumune, and Masaki to be the most suspicious. Of course, Love Pond is there, just saying her one iconic line, execute, execute, execute. Anyway, they discuss literally capturing people and making them talk through various means. Like, holy shit, man. This tour just sounds like an absolute blast. Where the hell can I sign up for this jolly adventure? Volcana and the tour guys also discuss. They still doubt the existence of the paranormal, but they did see a large claw mark and blood. So it's kind of hard to ignore a lot of the weird stuff going on. Volcana and Koharun seem to be developing some sort of camaraderie or relationship with each other, despite the way Volcana treated her earlier, which, not sure how I feel about that, but whatever. Anyways, the Hara just continues to spend the entire show trying to impress Koharun, only to get out Sigma'd by Volcana every time, I guess. Yo, so when the fuck is this show gonna turn into an actual psychological horror anime? Mitsumune walks around on guard duty. Leon approaches him and the two talk. Mitsumune says it's amazing that Leon can see dead people, but Leon is like, it's not a good thing. People say she's always creepy or a fake. Mitsumune says he believes her, but he's not dead. Leon says that she knows and she's sorry because she lied. She actually can't see dead people and just took advantage of Mitsumune in the moment because people were arguing over stupid shit. Mitsumune responds with, I see. That's fine. It was dumb anyway. If you want to keep taking advantage of me, it's fine. And Leon is like, you're a goody two-shoes. You just accept everything and play along with everyone, even though you know you're gonna regret it. And she just walks away. She then whispers to herself, what I can see is people who are going to die. Wait. What? Okay, so basically, this girl cannot see ghosts. However, she does seem to have some kind of special ability to see who is going to die and who isn't. I mean, I guess this is a cool concept, but like most of the other concepts in this show, this doesn't matter by the end anyway. Mitsumune is getting stalked this entire time by Love Pond, Gun-Loving Cat Girl, and Survival Dude. A trio I like to dub the most annoying trio in Mayoiga. Anyways, they're like, we should get them while we can. Love Pond continues to be like, let's execute them! Let's execute them! Mitsumune is like, wow, I talked to lots of girls today. I can't believe it. As the others ambush him and tie him up in a cell. I shouldn't laugh at that, but sorry. What a turn of events. Love Pond, again, showing her wonderfully stable personality, is like, oh, let's just start to take his nails off one by one. Glasses says that they were just going to capture him and that's too far, but Survival Guy is like, don't act like the leader and boss us around. The Survival Guy then starts to smell smoke and believes that a fire was started near them. The others escape and they just slightly cut Mitsumune's leg rope, but not enough for him to actually escape, and they just fucking leave him there. God, what the fuck? These people suck ass, bro. Mitsumune panics, but Masaki comes in to rescue him, saying that she made sure the fire wouldn't come this way. The two escape and Masaki unties Mitsumune. He asks her why, and she says she wants to talk to him about something, but before anything can happen, she gets cut off as Mitsumune sees something in the distance, which terrifies him. A what? A big penguin with an eye staring out of it? What the fuck? He calls this penguin Tokimune. Episode 6 begins with the insane squad all escaping the fire. However, they find that Love Pawn is not there with them, as she continues to run away alone and continues to scream, "Execute! Execute!" She begins to hear some kind of monk noise and bells tolling in the distance as she begins to freak out. We then find out about Love Pawn's past. Her dad left her and her mother with an insane amount of debt. Her mother was in a relationship with an abusive Buddhist monk who would often get drunk and beat both her and Love Pawn. He gives them money in return for sexual services with the mother to pay off the debt. And Love Pawn's whole execution persona comes from this abuse that she and her mother suffered, as she believes that the monk deserved to die for his crimes. Alright, let me just pause and talk about this real quick, okay? I feel bad for Love Pawn, okay? I do. Her backstory is extremely tragic, and it's not something anyone should ever have to go through. It's
You know what's smart? Dinner on autopilot. Eat smart with Factor.
That monk is an absolute piece of shit. In fact, he might actually be the worst, most trash character in this show because, well, as a human being, he just sucks. And he easily might be the most evil character that we see in this entire show. So yeah, the worst piece of shit for my Yoiga award goes to this monk. However, I still think Love Pawn is the most annoying character in the entire show so far. I can't deal with her, man. As much as I know she's gone through some horrific shit, she's also a danger to society herself. She literally tried to drown Mitsumune over what? She's the type of character whose actual serious and really messed up traumatic past is turned into just a silly little personality trait where she just only says the word execute over and over and over and over and over and over again. Trauma does fuck you up heavily, of course, but I just think it's so dumb that it turned her into this one-dimensional execution obsessed girl. And the fact is, this whole execution thing is her entire personality. So of course, it's just gonna come off as annoying and one-dimensional, but it also feels like the creators gave her this very fucking messed up backstory as a sort of excuse. Like, you can't criticize our awful character writing because it came from a tragic past. Trauma isn't an excuse to actively harm other people who had nothing to do with any of it. Jesus Christ. And just to establish again, fuck this monk from the bottom of my heart. Anyways, we're back to the present. Love Pawn is being chased by a very large demon mask, which was the logo of the sake that the abusive monk would always be drinking. Meanwhile, gun-loving cat girl begins to hear bug noises in a tree and begins to freak out as well. The others don't see anything, but the cat girl continues to freak out and screams. She then runs away as the survival guy follows her, leaving Glasses alone. We also find out about gun-loving cat girl's past. She used to get bullied a lot until she bought a BB gun and started to use it to pew pew the bullies without them knowing. She continues to keep doing this until she's found and she's tied up by a bunch of bullies. As she is tied up under a bridge, the bullies all gather around and place her under a beehive, saying, "Hopefully I don't miss the shot," which, okay, Jesus Christ. We don't actually see what happened after, thankfully, but yeah, that's pretty fucked up. We cut back to the present as Catgirl sees a giant bee chasing her down with more bees coming out from the back of this giant bee, and she continues to just run away screaming. Survival guy looks for Catgirl but begins to hear noises himself, and he sees a large piece of gooey something? A large piece of flesh? Ew, what the fuck? Whatever this shit is, it begins to chase the survival guy as he crawls away. We then find out about his past too. He was trying to be a ranger of some kind as he was posting videos online of him surviving in nature, and he says that he's gonna join the military soon to become a true ranger. The comments are somewhat supportive but mostly just clowning him, telling him to go to school and whatnot. As he measures his height, we see that he's right below the required height to join the military. He hears a rumor about someone who had to get silicone implanted in their head to reach some kind of height requirement. So he himself gets a silicone implant in his head, the same type they use for breast enhancement surgery apparently. Anyways, unfortunately, despite his efforts, he's unable to get into the military. Back to the present, Glasses continues to walk and be pissed as he suspects everybody, saying, "I'm the only one that's not getting tricked." However, he begins to hear laughter in the distance and begins to look around. He starts to say, "Don't laugh," and freaks out and runs away as well. We then find out Glasses' past. He used to work for a toy company and took on a very monumental task, asking the business owners to let him handle everything for this one really important event. Anyways, long story short, he makes a huge mistake of getting the date of the event wrong, causing his entire plan to collapse. At a business meeting afterwards, everyone is laughing at him for his mistake, and they continue to laugh at him as he tells them to stop. Back in the present, Glasses is being chased by a train with a demented eye and mouths, all laughing at him. Everyone tries to fight back against these monsters, causing gunshots to ring in the distance, waking everyone else up. The other members gather together. Dahara, the tour guide, is just like, "Are you okay, Koharu?" as he approaches her for a hug, but she completely curves him and runs to Volcana. God, Dahara, it just hurts to watch, man. Please stop. Everyone runs away from the monsters while the others search. They find Survival Guy, who tells them, "It showed up! The boobs!" But then he stops himself, you know, because he's just referring to the silicone implant that was chasing him down, but no one knows what the hell he's talking about. They also find Love Pond and the cat girl. As they discuss, they realize they're being chased by different monsters. Nothing is making sense. Koharun is then like, "Everyone must be seeing different things." And she begins to sing the folktale song again. She says the folktale has to do with what's happening. The folktale song is about a young girl who will arrive, bringing the monster that's shown up within her. Something that she's hidden deep within herself takes shape in the real world. Basically, a traumatic event from a person's past seems to be manifesting itself as a physical monster in the real world. Koharun reveals to everyone a newspaper clipping that says Masaki had previously gone missing. It turns out she had gone missing in the village right next to Nanaki village. How is a girl who previously went missing here with them? And the driver saw his dead daughter, so what's up with that? Because of these strange events, they begin to suspect if Masaki might be a ghost. And to be honest, I do think the backstories of these characters are genuinely one of the most interesting parts of the show for me. Even though I still find a lot of these characters annoying as shit, it at least humanizes them somewhat, and I can always appreciate an effort like that. It doesn't really save the show from being trash, but you know, whatever. I'll give credit where credit is due. In episode 7, we find out Mitsumune's past. He had a brother named Tokimune who was way more outgoing than himself, and the mother would compare the two a lot. It seems like their mom would always pay more attention to Tokimune. The mother gives Mitsumune a penguin plushie that he had always wanted. However, one day, Tokimune, his brother, grabbed the penguin and ran up on a wall he shouldn't have, and as their mother yells at him to stop, it's too late. Tokimune had fallen off of the wall and passed away. Unable to bear the guilt, their mother began to refer to Mitsumune as Tokimune, his brother's name. After this, Mitsumune was forced to live his life as Tokimune, with even his father asking him to do this until his mother is better. Even in junior high school, they were still calling him Tokimune. Even his dad accidentally calling him Tokimune as well. I mean, man, I was not expecting such a hard-hitting, fucked-up backstory for Mitsumune. Like, Jesus Christ. Anyways, the others discuss if Masaki is a ghost. Glasses comes back and asks what they all saw, saying that no one even truly dissected what this monster is because no one wanted to. Everyone resisted since it reflected their darkest moments of life. Mitsumune wakes up crying and explains his past to Masaki, and that was why he was happy when Masaki said she likes his name. The reason why Mitsumune joined this tour was because he wanted to actually live as Mitsumune and not as Tokimune anymore. They hold hands and walk as Masaki leads them somewhere, and she's like, "I feel courageous when I'm with you. You're so warm." They end up at the tunnel the others ran away from. Masaki says that if you want to go back to your old life, you have to go through this tunnel and face off against yourself. The penguin begins to attack, and Masaki is like, "I'm gonna go ahead," and tells him to have faith in himself and everyone will accept him as he is. Masaki then runs into the penguin and disappears? I don't know. Anyways, the penguin begins to move towards Mitsumune as she repeats, "Tokimune, Tokimune." Mitsumune readies himself and runs towards the penguin. However, the penguin punches him and he's like, "Sorry," as he crawls out of the tunnel entrance and goes back to everybody else. Meanwhile, everyone else hypothesizes that Masaki is the one bringing all the monsters here. They think that Masaki died here and became a ghost and is now trying to take everyone else with her. We also hear about Maimai's past. She says that her best friend and herself fell in love with the same dude, and that dude looked just like Mitsumune. They promised each other no hard feelings no matter the result, but when Maimai started dating him, her best friend cut her off completely and she lost all of her other friends, and her boyfriend dumped her, basically losing everybody she had in her life all at once. She says that everyone back there treats her like she doesn't exist anyways. She doesn't want to go home and she'd rather be here despite everything. Hayato's like, "Mitsumune is with Masaki right now. There's no time to do this shit." He believes that she has possessed him and wants to save him. The group all agree to get rid of Masaki. Mitsumune is found by Hayato. Back in the village, everyone is also like, "Sorry, man," but obviously they're lying. They don't trust him. They think he's brainwashed and whatever. They ask him where Masaki is, lying that they have to go and save her. Mitsumune explains the situation with the tunnel and everything, and Masaki said she'd be waiting beyond the tunnel. Anyways, they tell Mitsumune to rest and they promise that they'll protect Masaki or whatever. Mitsumune then tells Hayato what Masaki told him, to have more faith in himself. Hayato just says goodnight, leaves, and then he talks to himself like, "No need to have faith in yourself, man. You can't live without doing what I say." Wow, what a wonderful and healthy friendship. Everyone else prepares to hunt down Masaki with crosses and stakes and salt and whatnot. Some of them approach the tunnel and find Masaki just walking out of there. Leon and Nanko, non-goats bump into each other and discuss that neither of them think that Masaki is actually a ghost, and they decide to tell Mitsumune that Masaki is in danger. Meanwhile, the others tied Masaki up to a post and they're torturing her like we're just throwing it back to the year 1962 in Salem, Massachusetts. She says she's not a ghost, but the others are like, she's a ghost, so it's fine. She won't actually get hurt from all the terrible, disgusting shit we're doing to her. Love Pond then takes out a knife, and some others begin to say this is going too far. Hayato volunteers to actually attack Masaki with the knife for seducing Mitsumune. As he goes in, Volcana tries to hold him back. As Hayato slashes, they realize she's not a ghost because she actually starts to bleed. Despite this, Hayato continues to try and attack her, and Mitsumune steps in to stop him, punching Hayato for attacking Masaki. The others continue to accuse Masaki of controlling the ghosts, while Mitsumune continues to stick up for Masaki. Masaki tells everyone to stop, saying she'll tell them the truth. Episode 8 then begins with Masaki telling everyone that this is actually the second time she's at Nanaki Village. We get a flashback where Masaki is walking through the mountains, following a dude named Reiji, someone she was close to. They're looking for the mythical village. As they're surrounded by fog, a strange car approaches and a strange old man tells them to not go there and to turn back. However, the two run away and hide. They finally find Nanaki Village. The condition of the village is similar to when the main group arrived later on. The daylight was beginning to end, so they began walking back. However, Reiji asks if Masaki heard anything. He then begins to run away holding Masaki, but she doesn't see anything. Masaki trips and falls off the side of a cliff, and when she came to, the highway was in front of her. She tried to go back to Nanaki Village so many times, but she could never find it again. Masaki apologizes for not saying anything about the monster to everyone else. She wanted to see Reiji and save him from the last time, which, to be honest, I don't really understand why Masaki would hide some of this pretty vital information from everybody, but also, everyone else is kind of a dick, so whatever. They ask if Reiji was her boyfriend, but Masaki says that he's her cousin. Masaki says then he might be in a different village, which obviously makes everyone go, what the fuck? But Masaki says it's just a guess, and that Reiji had mentioned it at some point, and she doesn't actually know. When they guess it's gonna be through the tunnel, Masaki's like, not there, don't go through there, which obviously makes everyone go, okay, I think it's the tunnel. As for the tunnel, Masaki says she thought that it was the exit at first, but she was wrong, and she feels like it's a very dangerous